Okay, sorry about that. Uh, Christ. Zero, I was getting some weird feedback from your mic. I don't know if it's me or not.
No, he sounds like a chipmunk.
Okay, so it's not just me. Zero,
A
your mic
chipmunk
is
on
not
cocaine.
doing okay right now. Uh, hey everybody, welcome to the Toku Portal podcast. I'm Rai,
Yay! And I'm Digital Decade.
and Zero is sort of here. He has to do this through his phone right now, but his mic seems to be having some trouble. We don't know where anyone else is. We haven't heard from Vashi or King. At least Drago has the time zone excuse where he could be sleeping right now. Um, Zero is gonna go and get headphones, he says. So while he goes and does that, I'm gonna stall by doing a little recap about our main characters here. Uh, we have Hojo Emu, who is Kamen Rider Ex-aid. Kagami Hiro, Kamen Rider Brave. Hanaya Taiga, Kamen Rider Snipe. Kujo Kiria, who is Kamen Rider Laser. Uh, then we have uh, Dan Kuroto, who is Kamen Rider Genom. Uh, Poppy People Popo, who is Kamen Rider Poppy. Parado, who is Kamen Rider Paradox. Nico, who is Ride Player Nico. She's not actually a Kamen Rider. She's kind of like a pseudo rider. And then Dan Masamune, Dan Kuroto's father, Kamen Rider Kronos. Uh, we're we're like 3 episodes away from the end of the series here. So I just wanted to go over the cast of characters and what their different names are in case you may have been confused about like why we're calling people by one name and then calling them by something else or something. In case you're like someone that isn't actually watching the show, you're just listening to us talk about it.
Okay, I'm back. Hopefully, it should be better this time.
Yay, we can hear you.
Definitely.
You don't sound like a chipmunk. I was really worried that that was something on my end fucking up. Alright. Uh, so let's jump into the episode. Dan announces that he has turned over a new leaf. He wants to stop Masamune to save humanity's future and their smiles, and he pleads to Emu to let him out of his prison. Of course, everyone sees through his trick and they don't let him out. Kiria soon after collapses from the Game Deus strain of Game Syndrome. All of the infected patients who should have been cured are now being affected again because Kronos absorbed Game Deus. Taiga and Nico are noticing this when Masamune approaches them. Not much to say here. That was a humorous scene from Dan in the opening. It still feels weird that a bugster can be affected by a bugster virus, but whatever. Um, Other than that, I don't think there's much to say. What do you think, Decade?
Yeah, not much. But I did like the acting on the part of the extras who were reinfected with the Baxter virus. They straight up looked like they were dying. So yeah, they did a pretty decent job. But that's about it.
Zero.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, it's nice to see Dan being a little more, I don't know, low key for a second because like my problem is like I'm afraid like he's such a good like well, all around everything like actor and stuff like but lately all he's been doing is just like the over the top like ridiculously cheesy shit like uh, I mean it's nice to like let him actually act for a second, so that was good.
Masamune henshins into a new version of Kronos, one that comes with a sword and shield. Taiga henshins into Snipe and challenges him, but can't beat him on his own. Ex-aid and Brave show up and join in the fight. Ex-aid attempts to reprogram Kronos, but his shield somehow blocks it. And then, after making short work of the riders, Kronos explains that the one he's actually interested in is Nico, the ride player who collected the clear tokens and earned the right to challenge the final boss. He teleports away with her. Masamune has had a weird obsession with Nico recently. A few episodes ago, he infected her with Game Deus's virus, uh, because she was the closest to completing Kamen Rider Chronicle, and now he's just straight up challenging her himself as the final boss, which gives me a bit of a Ryuki vibe with the whole final rider thing.
Yeah, I guess because most of the ride players were either. Well, to be fair, Nico's pretty much cheated to get this far with Taiga's help. So yeah, she's basically the only threat to winning the finishing the game fair and square in a way.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense like the last couple of episodes like Kronos has been like walking around doing random shit where it's like what the fuck are you doing? This this episode, everything he does actually makes sense. Where like him challenging Nico, it's like okay, either he kills Nico and takes out like the biggest ride player threat, or she lives and she fights, but like he's twice as strong as Kronos anyway, so he can't lose. And then the riders will show up if they figure out a way. They can show up and aid her, and guess what? Like that's still part of his plan. So, like everything he does makes perfect sense this episode. I mean, like the only annoying thing is like how like Nico doesn't get to transform. It's like it's the problem with Ex-aid, but like it has two female riders. Okay, good, they're not gonna die, but like they don't get to do anything, so it's almost as bad.
Yeah, not that I wanted to see either one of them die, but I would have rather have seen them do a bit more than nothing. I can give, like, Nico some slack because she's kind of just a plot device at this point, but what's Poppy doing?
Yeah, I know. Like even what it seems like with the preview for next episode, I don't think she's gonna fight. She's gonna probably do some random Hail Mary shit. And I'm like, oh great, we gave her the ability to hench into a rider for nothing, right? Like Nico, like if Kronos, like ride player Kronos was gonna lose anyway, like fucking at least let Nico get a couple hits in. Like if she lost, it would make perfect sense because like Game Deus Kronos is or whatever the hell his name is so much stronger. Like it makes no sense. Like Taiga could have shown up at any time. He didn't need to hench into Kronos, right? Like let Nico get like a couple shots in at least. Like fuck, for all the shit Fies did of like all the female members not being able to like henshin worth shit, at least they got to like henshin and throw a couple punches maybe. Like god damn it.
One of them straight up kills an Orphanok off camera just to tease the new rider.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at least they got to do anything. Even with like all the female writers who end up dying or disappearing and shit, at least they get to fight. You know, like Nico's had like one fight and Poppy's had like maybe one fight. Uh, and like one as backup, and Nico's had a little more as backup, but like nothing. Like Guy definitely had more than Wizard had more than this. Like Drive didn't have any female writers, or uh, Coast had one, but like it kind of makes sense why she lost because like she was super depowered, so like she wasn't really gonna put up much of a threat against the final boss anyway. So it makes sense in Ghost's case. But come on, man, show you could have done better than this. Better than this shit.
This next note is pretty long. At CR, Dan explains to everyone that Masamune's plan is to kill Nico and bring the game's progress back to the beginning. No one else has collected any clear tokens, so eliminate the one player who has nearly beaten the game. They can't follow him into the arena because they don't meet the requirements to become Kronos. This implies that Nico somehow does, even though she didn't actually fight half the bugsters that she got the tokens for. Whatever. Taiga searches the room for the Rider Chronicle gashats that the patients have turned in. When he finds them, he takes one and inserts it into his gamer driver. In the arena, Masamune challenges Nico to fight him as Kronos herself, but she'll have to endure every bugster virus while doing it. Nico activates her Rider Chronicle gashat and is about to henshin when Taiga steps in and takes it from her. 5 or 6 years ago, the bugster virus broke out in an epidemic. Taiga was chosen to be the first Kamen Rider and underwent the compatibility surgery, wherein he was infected with a sample of the virus. Having been carrying that for all these years, he can use it to become Kronos. He henshins into the normal version of Kronos to fight Masamune, but he seems to be able to summon any of the Gashat weapons as he pleases. Emu and Hiro realize just how long Taiga's been fighting alone, and they don't want him to keep doing it. Dan chimes in with a proposal. If they let him out, he can create cheat codes to enter the arena. This reflection on Taiga's character is really good. And at this point, he deserves to get this. It really kind of brings his character into perspective from the beginning of the series to now. And how he always kept saying, I'm the only Kamen Rider that's needed. And it's nice to see the other characters, like, realize this and come to appreciate what he's been doing. Also, Dan just being like, I made the game, I can make cheat codes. That's, yeah. That's a way to keep him relevant.
Yeah, I really like the treatment that he got. I mean, you typically see that kind of weapon showcase with like the main rider, but instead Taiga just takes the lead and holds his ground pretty well against super OP game Deus Chronos. And yeah, they definitely did a good job of holding back on developing Taiga too much because sometimes you can just throw everything into the middle of the series and it's like, okay, we know everything about this character. They're just gonna do the right thing now. But yeah, I think them deciding to hold off until this late in the show definitely adds more weight to the emotion.
Yeah, I mean, like, it kind of sucks that they took this stuff out and put like a little like his, backstory in the DVD specials and stuff. But like, at the same time, like technically, if you're in Japan, you're buying the box sets, like you would be seeing them. So I'm like, it's not terrible. And plus, there's enough story in the show and enough implications that like you don't really have to. So, they did a good enough job. Like, yeah, I agree. This was a great Taiga moment. The only thing that ticked me off is like, okay, he needs two fucking things to henshin into like Kronos. I'm like, all right, you could have had. The problem is like you threw away Nico's development to give Taiga his moment. I'm like, that didn't need to happen, right? Like, you could have had like Nico be like, all right, I'm Genius Gamer N, and let her fight and fail, and then Taiga show up and take up the Gashat and like say, no, you're my patient, I'm gonna do it, and it would fit perfectly. Or have like fucking. Oh, that's not true. Like Dan couldn't just make another Kronos. That'd be a little too overpowered. I mean, the cheat codes was smart because like we've already seen like Peridot and Graphite be able to go to game there, so it makes sense that like it's just a special area. It's the same one that they went to, so Dan could just hack into it. But yeah, it kind of sucks that Nico like she had this awesome like speech and moment, and then like immediately like, nope, we gotta give Tiger the moment. I'm like, it was a cool moment, but I'm like, you could have still given them both. Like you didn't have to choose one or the other. It's just kind of stupid.
I wonder
But
if
uh,
I wonder
yeah,
if they didn't do both for time reasons.
I mean, it's like a 1 second fight. Like the thing is, as soon as Nico goes and Shin, it's the suit actor. Like it doesn't make a damn difference who the fuck
No, I'm saying
is
like it
in
was
there.
just cut for time in the series itself.
Uh, I mean, uh, well, no, because you could have cut out the Dan like pleading to Emu thing
Yeah.
out if we really needed to, because like it would have literally taken like 3 hits. It would have been like Nico ready to fight, presses it, turns into Kronos, it cuts away, and it cuts back to her like getting a couple hits in, but you see her losing, then she dehenshin and Taiga shows up. Like it literally would have taken the same amount of time. It doesn't make sense.
As the fight between Masamune and Taiga goes on, Taiga begins showing signs of exhaustion. You can hear him breathing heavily through the suit, while Masamune remains fine as ever. They use their rider kicks on each other at the same time, but Masamune comes out on top. Taiga is knocked out of his henshin, but continues to put himself between Masamune and Nico, not wanting his patient to die. Even without his license, he still wants to be a doctor. Hiro tells him to value his life in that case. Masamune questions how they got in, and Emu says it was divine intervention. Heavy emphasis on the air quotes. Cut to Dan at CR saying that making the impossible possible is the talent of God, and he begins laughing hysterically with his neck stretching out so much there are veins pulsating on it. Kiria, who is suffering the effects of the Game Deus virus, casually tells him to shut up. Hiro tells Taiga that he doesn't want him as a victim, and Emu tells him that doctors have to look out for their own health. 2. Uh, Emu hands Taiga a medical coat, asking if he's a doctor. Taiga stands up and puts it on, and the three of them henshin together. Uh, this was a really good scene here. Just the way they all come together, uh, and have just respect for each other. The dance scene in the middle was a weird cut, but I appreciate it because it just shows us a bit more about how good of an actor Dan is.
Yeah, it's been nice to see Emu back in, friendly main rider doctor mode because he has been a bit angsty and Machiavelli as of late. So yeah, that was a nice moment between the three of them. And we've kind of been missing that. It's kind of been Hiro, Taiga, or Emu, Hiro. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice moment. I just kind of wish we had like the full medical team, like with Poppy and Kyria. Yeah, Kyria. But like, I guess we got enough people on this scene.
Kiria's too
Um,
busy dying.
yeah, pretty much right. And Poppy, well, Poppy does get to talk to Peridot, so at least she gets something to do. So that was good.
Yeah, I kind of
Uh,
glossed
but
over Peridot's scene if you guys want to talk about that.
I mean, it's nice going forward, but like we pretty much knew he was on that track anyway, so it makes sense. Also, like I just have one last thing to say about the scenes, like the double rider kick, and then like the reveal that like Kronos won. Like, okay, everybody kind of knew Kronos was gonna win that kick, but like the way they reveal it with like the like the clock hand thing, oh, such a nice shot.
Um, Together, they manage to overpower Masamune, who is confused as to how they're able to do it. Emu tells him it's because they're the best medical team. That doesn't actually answer the question, Emu. Like, you guys are deflecting missiles that aren't aimed right at him. Like, how are you fighting him like this? They each perform their finishers on him, making the arena fade away. They've beaten the true final boss, but Masamune wasn't knocked out of his henshin. All of the people afflicted with the Game Days virus, including Kiria, begin turning into bugster grunts, spreading the infection to anyone they come into contact with. Masamune turns into a giant, more monstrous version of Game Deus, saying that this is an eternal game without an ending. Episode end. I feel like. So, first off, this was a really good fight. It was kind of weird, though, because, like, Kronos kind of tricked, like, Taiga and Hiro to firing attacks at Emu, and then they just somehow deflect into Kronos, anyways. But with the whole, like, okay, so now people are turning into bugster grunts. What is going on here? Because so Dan didn't program this in. We know that. But so Masamune had to have been the one to do it. I'm just confused about what his end game is at this point.
Yeah, I mean, how's he gonna make money if everyone's a
Like,
damn monster?
is he actually just trying to like rule the world at this point?
I guess the God complex is taking over the CEO complex. Yeah, it is pretty weird.
Zero.
Sorry, I was looking at the chat, man. I hope this recording goes well because like the YouTube backend, it says we've been only streaming for like 5 minutes. It's just super weird. I don't know. Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully the stream's going okay. Um, anyway, Quintavious Lockhart says, I think she's talking about Nico. She's like maybe Nico couldn't henshin into Kronos because she doesn't have the compatibility surgery. Okay, that is like the only explanation I can think of that would
That
make
no,
it
but Kronos was designed to be able to be uh, anyone that like achieved the perfect strain of immunity to like all the bugs or viruses or some bullshit like that. So any ride player theoretically could do it. Dan put that in there as a failsafe.
Yeah, fair enough. But the thing is, like, Kronos has a buggle driver, and like, Taiga has like a standard driver. So
Well, you
maybe you
can
couldn't just do it with the gacha.
well you can make the argument that Nico didn't actually achieve the strain, like the perfect strain or whatever, because she didn't fight.
Oh,
She didn't get infected by all the different bugster
right, right.
things.
She kept getting cured by Taiga.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
getting cured is
Yeah,
probably
but
part of it, but the problem is that she didn't get infected with all them. You can argue she probably got infected with most of the ones she fought, but she didn't get infected with Lovelica for sure.
yeah, you're right. At least two or three. Yeah, you're right. She still has like maybe three of them to go, plus game days potentially.
I don't think Game Days
Um,
counts. I I think he's the exception.
may Yeah, all right. I guess that's a good enough reason. As for what were you guys talking about? Oh, like Cronus's plan, right? Like yeah, I think Masamune is just turned into a Sentai villain where it's like I'm going to conquer the world now. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
You know what? That's a
Like
good way to describe it.
that's pretty much what it's turned into, right? Like, I mean, I'll give him one thing. Like throughout this whole episode, he's going like, "Hey, I'm the final boss," and then they're like, "Okay." No, he's like, "I'm the final boss," and they're like, "Okay, cool, we have to beat you." And it's like, "No, and like they beat him. It's like, "Oh, phase two." Like, damn it! Like he's been saying he's the final boss this whole episode, and like they don't realize that like beating him is part of his plan because like, you know, when you get to a final boss, usually they have like more than one phase. So like they
Yeah,
just beat the weaker version. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, oh yeah, that makes sense. This is his second phase or third phase, depending on how you look at it. Oh shit! Did I cut out again?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, just Hector was talking about Nico. Anyway, anything else on this?
I think I've said all I need to say. Again, this was a good episode, and it's a shame that more people weren't here to talk about it with us, because there's plenty to talk about and discuss.
Yeah, as kind of silly as the whole people turning into Boxer Grunts was, I did like the fact that he just straight up turns into the giant monster form. That was pretty intense. And yeah, like I didn't think we'd see that until the movie, but Masamune just straight up goes monster form. That was pretty sweet. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of having technical difficulties. That's probably why I'm not talking as much. Plus, like, I guess yeah, it would have been nice if we had more people. But thanks again for everyone who came out and whoever, listens to this or manages to get through our ramblings. Um, but yeah, it's a good episode. Like, yeah, I was also kind of a little surprised that he turned into another form, but I'm like, one, it fits perfectly because like final boss multiple phases. Plus he absorbed game days. He beat the weaker side, which was Kronos. Now you're fighting the more game days side, so it makes sense. Um, and one last thing is like lately for Rider, like the end boss, especially like Coast, it's just like you beat the final guy, and then there's this giant CGI Sentai boss thing, which Riders have not have to beat for some reason. And that's pretty much what this looks like. But I'm like, eh, whatever. At least what's the problem with Kronos is like you kind of just want him to go the fuck away. And at this point, I'm like, good, we're at the end. Like I can't deal with any more of your shit. It's not that I hate him. It's just like he's kind of annoying and not really final villain material. But like, at least he's not doing anything really stupid. I mean, the whole take over the world thing is kind of dumb, but I'm like, I think the writer, like, kind of ran out of ideas, or like maybe he had a good idea. It's just he couldn't figure out how to get there in the right amount of time. Because like this is the one problem. I said I was going to talk less, now I'm talking more. But last thing, this is the one problem with Ex-aid is like this is what I was afraid of was what's going to happen is like it's got the ghost problem, not as bad, but it has it where it's like okay, Ghost wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. The problem is like its final act was terrible, so like everybody like super hates on it just because of that. And X-Aid's like the final act isn't that bad, but it's fucking boring and not as good as like the first couple ones. So my problem is like X-Aid could have been like the greatest Kamen Rider show ever, maybe beat Kuga, but now it's good, but it's not that good because of this final arc. So my problem is like hopefully people don't remember it too terribly. Like it's still a good show. It's just, having one person write like 44 episodes is kind of intense. And like every show that has basically like one main writer doing most of the episodes tends to have some kind of problem. Like Five's, the problem of basically like it's got terrible pacing. Um, Gaim, it's kind of a mess because it's trying to be like Ryuki and its own thing, and like Five's thrown in on top of each other. And it's like every time like writers try to do shit like this, and it's like it always ends up being a little uneven. Like X8 for the longest time was really solid, so I thought it would be like a full show, but like I guess like it's a little impossible in this day and age. Anyway, this episode was still decent though, and that's all I have to say.
Uh, the thing about this final arc is that a lot of the episodes feel pretty rushed, and I chalked that up to, well, maybe it's just because he has to finish it soon. But then there have been so many like new concepts introduced in this final arc that I feel like some of them could have been cut out and let the other ones expand a bit more and take their time.
You know what the real problem is? Like, I think for as like emotional for Hero the Saki arc was, like we should have cut all those
I completely
because
agree.
they went nowhere. It would have had less of Kronos's BS, and like we would have had time to give like other people like character arcs and stuff.
I
Um,
completely agree.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, here
But the thing is like if we did that, then the show would be like 40 episodes long, and like
well,
it's
they
stretching to
could have
make it
spent more time
44.
building up Nico. They could have spent more time like with Parado's redemption. They could have spent more time on anything else. Hero didn't do anything in that whole Saki arc, which they set it up like it was going to be a whole like good hero turning evil thing, and he didn't even do that. He did nothing. That whole thing could have been cut out, and I still disagree with his decision to help Masamune in that from the beginning. Um, guys,
Sorry, I'm like jumping back and forth between like audio chat and like YouTube chat, and
sorry.
like my phone
Uh,
it's super not
I think we
working.
should just
Uh,
wrap this up.
yeah, I think we should get there. Thanks everyone for dropping by, and so final thoughts, good episode. Hope the next one's good, and see you guys next time.
Yeah, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. This series is almost over. Bye.